I thought I was fighting for fairness, but I was really bankrolling my own destruction. My father was a complicated man, but he was fair. At least, I always thought so. His love wasn't in hugs, it was in the scent of his aftershave in the mornings, the solid click of his briefcase, the quiet shuffle of his slippers in the hallway, and the way he'd fold his newspaper into a perfect square at the breakfast table. He was a man of painstaking precision who could fix any squeaky hinge. He built a respectable nest egg through decades of careful work. Then there was us, me, the practical one who followed in his footsteps, and my sister Clara, the free spirit. I remember one Christmas when I was 12. I had my heart set on a specific telescope. Instead, I got a sensible savings bond. Clara got a simple, handmade music box from Dad, who said it reminded him of her. He was always favoring her in these small, subtle ways that stung worse than any open slight. We were two sides of the same coin, and I thought we'd outgrown the quiet fight for his approval. I was wrong. When Dad got sick, the dynamic changed. I handled the harsh realities, doctors, finances, the coldness of legal papers that contrasted so starkly with the warm memories of him. Clara sat by his bedside, reading him poetry. I told myself it was balance. Now, looking back, I see she wasn't just offering comfort. She was positioning herself. The day he passed was the single worst day of my life. In the haze of grief, Clara was my rock. We clung to each other, two orphans in a storm. For a brief, beautiful moment, the rivalry was gone. The reading of the will was a week later. I wasn't nervous. A 50-50 split was the only thing that made sense. But Mr. Davison, our father's attorney, cleared his throat and read the words that shattered my world. The entire estate was to be placed into a trust, and Clara was the sole trustee. She would provide for my reasonable expenses, but she had the final say on every dollar. I was put on an allowance, a golden leash. My stomach churned at the imagined humiliation of asking my younger sister for money to buy my own medicine. Her approval a prerequisite for my survival. I looked at Clara, expecting shock. Instead, I saw a carefully crafted mask of sympathy. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. That evening, she came to my house. She brought soup, an offering that now feels like a predator's kindness, designed to disarm me. "This is wrong," she said, her face a perfectly rehearsed performance of concern. So wrong. Dad wasn't himself at the end. He was confused. I think someone took advantage of him. She was planting the idea of undue influence, and my grief-stricken mind was fertile ground. "We can't let this stand," she went on, her eyes flashing with what I mistook for righteous anger. "We have to fight this, together. I'll be your main witness." She painted a picture of us as a team. I was drowning, and she threw me a life raft. I grabbed it, never seeing the hook. What I didn't see then was that Clara already had her hands on the knife, and she was waiting for me to hand her the handle. The first step was hiring a lawyer Clara recommended. "He's a shark," she'd said. The retainer was a staggering $25,000. I wrote the check, pulling the first brick from the foundation of my own financial security. The probate court froze all estate distributions, cutting off my allowance. I thought the worst was over, but the real horror hadn't even begun. The discovery phase began, a grueling violation where the estate's lawyer subpoenaed years of my life. every so often I'd pause and ask myself, was this justice or was this just greed? The line had become so blurry. The monthly legal bills were breathtaking blows. The stress became a physical weight. My nights were sleepless, and the gray hairs at my temples seemed to multiply overnight. A stack of unpaid bills on my desk grew taller, like a stack of tombstones. I started liquidating my investments. First my car, then the pearls my mother left me, the ones she wore to Sunday church. Pawning them felt like selling a piece of my own identity, the shame a cold stone in my gut. Finally, I took out a second mortgage. The isolation was crushing. Friends I'd known for decades started avoiding my calls and averting their eyes in the grocery store. The church pews suddenly felt colder, and I could feel my aunt, Dad's sister, watching me from across the aisle, her face a mask of disappointment. I wrestled with the shame of it all, wondering if they saw me as a greedy, grasping woman desecrating a time of mourning. The foreclosure notice, when it came, wasn't tucked in the mail. It was taped to my front door, flapping in the wind, a public declaration of my failure. I saw my neighbor peer through her curtains, then quickly draw them shut. The house itself seemed to mourn, its empty rooms echoing with the ghosts of a life I was losing. Sobbing, with the legal fees climbing past $200,000, I called Clara. "I can't keep doing this," I wept. "It's ruining me." "Don't give up now," she said, a little too brightly. "They just sent a settlement offer." $200,000. Relief washed over me. It wouldn't cover my losses, but it would save my house. "Take it," I pleaded. "No," Clara said flatly. The word was a slap. "It's a lowball offer, an insult. This is about principle. You have to be strong. We will win this at trial." She made me feel weak for wanting to give in. I thought I was holding the pen, but really, Clara was writing the ending. I let her talk me into refusing the settlement, marching toward a trial she knew I could never win. The trial was scheduled for a cold week in November. By then, I was a ghost, my savings and retirement accounts gone. My chest was constantly tight, and I lived with the metallic taste of panic in my mouth. Walking into the probate court, I saw Clara squeeze my hand. "Deep breaths," she whispered, her eyes holding a chilling, feverish excitement. "This is our vindication." Our lawyer presented the case, but it fell apart. He painted me as a greedy daughter, making me look even worse when he brought up the settlement offer we'd rejected. Then he called his star witness, Clara. She was a picture of quiet dignity, but her testimony was a moving performance, empty of facts. Then Miss Albright, the estate's lawyer, approached the stand. The tension in the gallery stretched thin. She held up a small audio recorder, and the click as she pressed the play button echoed in the silent room. The judge leaned forward, his brow furrowed. My blood ran cold. "Your Honor," Ms. Albright said, "the estate would like to play a piece of audio." A conversation between Mr. Hayes and his daughter Clara, recorded 3 days before he passed away. Clara's face went white. Her jaw tightened, a nervous swallow rippling down her throat. Our lawyer shot up to object, but Ms. Albright countered smoothly. It was item 73B in the third supplemental document production. You just never asked to listen to it. The judge overruled him. My father's voice, a ghost in the machine, filled the courtroom. Weak, but perfectly lucid. Hearing it again, his love and his judgment intertwined for the last time, was a gut punch. "Clara," he said, "I need you to understand. Your sister, she's always measured life in dollars and cents. If I split everything, she'll see it as her due, nothing more. But this way, you have to take care of each other." There was a pause, then Clara's voice, a sickeningly sweet poison. "I understand, Daddy. But she's going to be so angry. She's going to fight it." And then my father's final words, heavy with sorrow. "Let her fight. Let her spend her own money to learn a lesson I failed to teach her. Maybe when she loses some of what she has, she'll understand the value of what she was given. Family is the only real wealth, Clara. I'm making you the trustee of that asset." The recording ended. The mask on Clara's face finally cracked, revealing a flicker of pure rage before she regained her composure. She knew. This entire 2-year nightmare wasn't a fight for justice. It was the lesson. She hadn't just stolen my inheritance. She had stolen years of my life, my dignity, and my very identity. The judge's verdict was a formality. The will was valid. I was ordered to pay the estate's legal fees, the final nail in my coffin. That was 6 months ago. Today, I live in a small 1-bedroom apartment where the silence is the loudest thing. I microwave dinners for one, and the creak of the empty chair at my small table is a constant companion. The ache of what used to be haunts the empty space, and I try not to look at the old family photos I managed to save, the ghosts of a life that feels like it belonged to someone else. The money is the smallest part of what I lost. I lost my father's memory, twisting it into a story of betrayal. I lost my family, who now see me as the greedy woman who desecrated a time of mourning. And I lost the sister I thought I had. I saw her one last time as movers packed my life into boxes. She stood on the sidewalk watching, and a faint, triumphant smile touched her lips. "Dad was right," she said, her voice like a final curse. "You were always counting. Now you have nothing. Maybe you'll finally understand." I contested the will, and I lost so much more than the fortune. I lost my past, my future, and myself. Before you declare war over an inheritance, ask yourself, when family becomes the battlefield and money the weapon, what's left to call your own? Watch this next for another jaw-dropping tale of greed, betrayal, and revenge you won't see coming.